Zulkifli is the 30th prophet. His real name is Bashar bin Ayub, which means he is the son of Prophet Ayub. Meanwhile, his mother's name is Rahmah. According to Islamic perspective, Prophet Zulkifli was born on 1500 before century and died on 1425 before century. But for the Jewish perspective, it has a different opinion. They claim that Prophet Zulkifli was born on 622 before century and died on 370 before century in Mesopotamia. Prophet Zulkifli was born at Iraq and stayed at Jerusalem. But after the conquest of Jerusalem, he is forced to move to Babylon. The reason why he is called Zulkifli is because of his willingness. He was called for his willingness to accept the Roman king's responsibilities to become a king. At that time, there's a king that is old, sick, and doesn't have any son. In order to find a new king, the king held a competition. Prophet Zulkifli passed all the trial in the competition and became the next king. After he became a king, the devil came in a form of old man to test his patience and faith. His desire was angered Zulkifli. He forced the guards to be able to enter the palace and meet Zulkifli late at night. The old man was allowed to enter the palace guards. During the meeting, the devil complained to Zulkifli about the cruelty of others against him. However, Zulkifli told him to come tomorrow night when both parties feel ready to meet. But the old man denied it and even come morning. The next day, the old man came and complained like the previous night. Zulkifli then told him to come only at night. He was promised earnestly on Zulkifli to come at night, but he would deny it. On the third day, the old man came again. At this time, there was no response from Zulkifli. The demon then slept through a door and showed himself to Zulkifli. Zulkifli was very surprised to see the devil incarnate. Then, he also knowing that the old man is a devil trying to upset him, but the demon was unsuccessful. From the story, we can see the patience of Prophet Zulkifli as stated in Quranic verse Surah Al-Anbiya verses 85 to 86.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإسماعيل وإدريس وذا الكفل كل من الصابرين وأدخلناهم في رحمتنا إنهم من الصالحين.
The Temple of Jerusalem, one of the most important building sites for Jews, Christians, and Muslims, has been a permanent topic of theological, historical, and political discourse. The temple is also one of the most archetypical buildings in the history of architecture. It was not just one building, but referred to various successive building complexes, one of which was seen only in a vision by the prophet Ezekiel. The original Temple of Jerusalem on Mount Moriah could have been built according to modern knowledge around 961 before century by King Solomon as per God's own instructions to King David. The so-called second temple was erected on the same spot, on the foundations of this earliest construction. The rebuilding was executed between 536 to 515 before century, after the Jewish people had returned from their exile in Babylon. The first building had been destroyed in 586 before century when King Nebuchadnezzar took Jerusalem. The rebuilding of the temple took place under Judah's governor Zerubbabel during Darius' reign and is also referred to as Temple of Zerubbabel. This second construction was once again partly replaced and was expanded to twice its size under Roman rule by King Herod, started in 20 before century and only completed after his death. The latter complex, also referred to to as the second temple was finally destroyed by the Roman commander and future Emperor Titus in 70th century. These structures receive a virtual counterpart, the future temple in the vision of the prophet Ezekiel. Chronologically, Ezekiel's was the second documented temple and vision during the captivity around 593 to 568 before century. On the one hand, Ezekiel's vision was a prophecy of a temple yet to come by. On the other hand, the description clearly recalled Solomon's divine and archetypical example in Jerusalem. Recently, there is archaeologists that found an artifact somewhere in Ophel in Jerusalem. That artifact is believed as the relic of Prophet Zulkifli. The age of the artifact is estimated around 2,700 years old. That artifact is made from soft clay, but as time passes by, the clay becomes stiff and hard. And also the artifact is the first archaeological finding from Bani Israel. Kyiv is just a small town with 15,000 residents only. Even though it is small, it is very special for Muslims and Jews because there is a valuable tomb there which is called Tomb of Ezekiel. This tomb is made by Jews after the death of Ezekiel between Rosh Hashanah, which is New Year, and Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement, when the special Torah scroll written by the prophet's own hand was read. However, during 1360 century, Sultan Ujai II from Iraq took over the tomb from the Jews and he changed the name to Prophet Zulkifli tomb. Later, Sultan Ujai II built the mosque and minaret at the same location. But the tomb was covered with 66 12-inch square marble plates. When the squares were removed, the entire book of Ezekiel was found in greased lettering at the back of the plates. Today, the plates are housed in the Yad Ben-Zvi Institute in Jerusalem. The 66 plates contain the complete book of Ezekiel almost exactly as found in modern Bible today. At present, 2 of the plates are being tested by the Israel Museum for authenticity. As the conclusion, from the study, we can see on how a person in a community or a leader could influence his or her surrounding. We also can see the proof that architecture is already exists since long time ago. On the other hand, we can see different countries with different era have a different style of architecture and also use different techniques in order to create different culture and different environment.